Coming up on this episode of Tom Talks Rubbish.
So it wasn't really about me like kind of having a conversation with my jobs because if I'm able to do the work, that's perfectly fine. I think the only one that I really had to have a conversation of, hey, I can do different times now, was Wrestle Talk because I do kind of like hourly stuff with them,
Mm.
doing written work with them. So I can do now earlier times because I'm 5 hours ahead of stuff. So that was the only one that I really had to have a conversation. As far as the family, it was mainly off of necessity, like I said before, with my daughter's needs and my
Mm.
son's needs. I always think about my kids first, my wife is second, and everybody else is secondary to that.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Talks and stand back with another interview. This time, I'm joined by not only a very good friend of mine and someone that's just been always very cool to me, someone who might be starting to tire people for their appearances on the channel. I'm joined by the one and only SP3, and today we're here to talk about how moving to the UK and staying in the UK has changed him as a wrestling fan. So, welcome back on the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you every time we're able to chat on the channel. And yes, I'm proud that I'm tying the record for amount of appearances on the channel.
So before I'm actually curious to talk about that, man. What when I invite you, are you like, yeah, I'll do it? You don't even have to ask. Like, why is it sort of like a yeah, all right then, dude, let's do this.
Cause you're very nice and personable, and I enjoy talking to you. And I like the fact that you ask questions that I don't regularly would get if I ever do kind of interviews, which I've only done. I haven't done that many. I've probably done more with you than anyone else, and everyone else asked me maybe once. But I like the fact that we are able to do different interview every time. It's not just the same questions being done. You have a very cool interview style, and I also enjoy the fact that you also reached out to people in True Hill Heat, and I'm able to see your interviews with other people in True Hill Heat. My favorite interview you've ever done is with Jimmy Macaram,
Well,
and
that's one
getting
of my favorites,
reminded
actually.
getting reminded that I've known this guy for 20 years. So now and again when we do a show, I mention I've known this guy for 2 decades. That was the crazy part of that interview, is realizing I've known him since high school, and you asking him how I was in high school compared to how I am now. I thought that was a great question.
I love podcasting with you, man. And when I heard through the, shall we say, the wrestling media grapevine that you had been staying in the UK and things like that, I thought that'll be a fun podcast and things like that. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'd like to start here, but obviously, if you can't talk about it, I understand. What brought you to the UK, man, and things like that?
Well, my missus, she has family in the UK, so she's bounced back and forth for the years before we met each other, and she came over here with I came over here with our kids, and our my daughter in particular is not the best at airplanes. She is
Hmm.
really kind of she likes being inside a lot. She likes being inside, and she can get a little crazy on airplanes, so she's not always able to go back and do the long flight back. So they stay here. So I've been basically going back and forth for a little bit, but I'm having an extended stay now in the UK. So it was a good time to ask me for a podcast to talk about it.
What was the impetus for the extended stay? Was it work related, family related, etc.?
Well, like I said, it was my daughter. My daughter can't go on planes all the time. She's like a most wanted. She has her if anyone have seen my content, Harlem shows up on screen whenever she wants to. She's in control. She's the boss in this house. So she can't get on a plane. We can't all get on a plane. But me being an American, I kind of have to sometimes, but I hate being away from my family, so I always will come back. So we had to stay an extended time because she's getting starting like school, and we're gonna get her kind of like see with like doctors and stuff like that, see if it's like a bigger issue that she can't get on planes all the time, and hopefully we can get back to the United States because that is my home and my family is out there, and they want to spend time with the kiddos as well.
Was it your daughter recently I can speak, I promise, guys, on Into the Weeds, who recently shouted something that went kind of viral?
Yes, on In the Weeds, this is my show with Jeremy Lambert and Joe Pearl on Fightful Overbooked. My daughter has become a little bit of a recurring character where if I ever get loud and get very animated in a conversation with Jeremy or Joel, she will bust into this room that I'm in right now and say, "Shut up, Dada." And yeah, that went viral because it became a short. We had two different shorts. The first time where she says "Shut up, Dada," and it popped everyone, and she got a big reaction
I
from
saw
our
that.
live chat as well as everybody on screen. And then a second time where Jeremy thought she said "Shut the f up, Dada," which she didn't. She didn't say that. She doesn't know those type of words. Well, sometimes my missus, she's Italian, so she'll say a foul word
Oh, yes.
and she'll pick it up.
My
Pick
missus
it
is Italian as well, man. So I know exactly what you're talking about there.
she's more of a potty mouth than even me. So yeah, sometimes she'll catch one of those, but she did not say that. Just want to make that clear here. She did not say that. She said shut up, dada. She says shut up, dada. But she's also responsible for a lot of the artwork I have. My son did a couple, but she's done like most of it. So Harlem is a very much the main character when it comes to our family.
That's brilliant, man. So if we go back to sort of your decision to move to the UK, or not move, to stay in the UK
Yeah,
extensively, I want to clarify that, guys. I keep saying move, and I do apologize, man. But
it's
like,
okay.
um, what was that conversation like? Because obviously you built a great brand with Drill Will Heat, and you do some great work with Fightful. Originally, you were doing the Ring of Honor reviews with a great lady that is Miss Kate Elizabeth and things like that.
Yeah.
And you were on In the Weeds with Joel and Jeremy, and also your True Hill Heat co-host. So what was that conversation like? Where you're like, sorry guys, I'm going out sticks for however long. Do you know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, like with my work, everywhere where I contribute, whether it's like on screen with True Hill Heat, whether it's with Fightful Overbooked, whether it's with Sports Illustrated, which I started towards the end of last year, and my written work over at Wrestle Talk as well. All of that I can do from anywhere. So it wasn't really about me like kind of having a conversation with my jobs because if I'm able to do the work, that's perfectly fine. I think the only one that I really had to have a conversation of, hey, I can do different times now, was Wrestle Talk because I do kind of like hourly stuff with them,
Mm.
doing written work with them, so I can do now earlier times because I'm 5 hours ahead of stuff. So that was the only one that I really had to have a conversation. As far as the family, it was mainly off of necessity, like I said before, with my daughter's needs and my
Mm.
son's needs. I always think about my kids first, my wife is second, and everybody else is secondary to that. So like it was an easy choice because of the necessity with my family and the only work stuff that I had to kind of just discuss. Oh, I can do earlier times now instead of doing work in like the afternoon, evening times because I was out in the US and they're mainly based in the UK was Wrestle Talk.
Mm. You talk about Wrestle Talk there. Did coming over here enable you to appear on camera for Wrestle Talk? So, like, I know Survival Series at one point,
Yeah.
and I believe you've done some episodes of TLC. If
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
About because of that.
Yeah, I always like if I visit here a couple of times over the last couple of years, so I've been able to go to the studio and be a part of like on-screen stuff. I think I did an appearance on one of their podcasts, whether it be like I think it was the Raw podcast or Dynamite podcast, and then I was able to be a part of Survival Series last year, and I actually won the Survival Series championship, so I can call myself myself the first Black Quizlemania champion, the first Black Survival Series champion. I am the Jackie Robinson of Wrestle Talk when it comes to that. And I was able to do most recently during this last visit here, just a few months back, I was able to be on TLC. So anytime I'm able to, or they want me to come aboard, I'm always down to make appearances with Wrestle Talk. I love the guys over there, Luke, Ollie. They've been nothing but great to me. I think I mentioned in one of our previous conversations, like Luke Owen was a person that really kind of accelerated
Oh yeah.
my podcasting career, because he gave me the first opportunity to be on Wrestle Talk when I was mainly just doing True Heel Heat stuff. So I always am going to be, very thankful and very grateful for every opportunity Wrestle Talk has given me, whether it be written work, whether it be on screen. So anytime, if they're watching this, anytime Luke and Ale want me to come to the studio, I'm always down to go over there.
What about opportunities you brought up opportunity there, SP3. What about opportunities you might have missed out on because you're in the UK? Was there any that you can think of?
Yeah, it's mainly like going to shows. Like I'm big, like, because I came out here this time, I came in February. So I wasn't able to even think about going to like WrestleMania this year in Las Vegas, which honestly, I was okay with that because Las Vegas is expensive. But in March, there was the Madison Square Garden show, and I've been able to go to the end of last year was my first time going to a WWE event as media credential with Sports Illustrated,
Mm.
and being able to go to like Nassau Coliseum for the first Saturday night's main event. That was really cool, and I got to talk to some people that work in PR in WWE. So the UK, I always heard it from a lot of my friends out in the UK. They don't get as many, shows out here. I mean, it was great because I was out here just a couple of weeks after that Madison Square Garden show. WWE did their European show, European tour, and I was able to go to the O2 for SmackDown and Raw. So I think that it's always going to balance itself out, where I might miss out on an opportunity to go to WrestleMania, an opportunity to go to a Monday Night Raw at Madison Square Garden, to go to, AEW is about to be out in Philadelphia, which is just like a bus ride away. I might miss out on those opportunities, but then I'm able to kind of go to Forbidden Door when it's out here in August. I think it always is going to balance itself out. So I wouldn't say that I'm like, oh man, damn, I wish I was in the US. I honestly do like it out here in the UK because I'm based out in New York City. And I don't know if you know this, Tom, or anybody watching, New York City is very expensive.
Very
It is
loud.
very expensive.
Well,
Very no, I mean, I'm loud, so I'm okay with that.
mhm.
Very expensive. That's the part of New York City that I do not enjoy. The price of living, my rent. I'm able to pay my rent when I'm out here and not have to deal with the price of like food and groceries and traveling and stuff like that. I am perfectly fine being out here and being able to pay my rent and still save up some additional money, contribute to my family here and pay rent or whatever I need, any bills I need to pay out here. The price of living is much more affordable in the UK in comparison to New York City. Anywhere is more affordable than New
Yeah.
York City.
You brought up the word groceries there, SP3. Has there been any words since you've been here for a few months that you're like, okay, that's very weird? Like, I know we call what you call pants trousers, for example. Is there any words that you're like, that would be different if we were in America then?
I'm more learning stuff where I don't think it's like weird because I think I've watched enough TV and been around a bunch of my friends out here, like the Daily Boys, Alice McCarthy, and Sat, where none of the words like you guys using trousers instead of pants, that doesn't really get me, but learning like different stuff like bollocks and stuff like that. And I tend to find myself using some of the terminology without even thinking about it. I think it's been more that than being like, oh, well, that's weird. That's a weird way to phrase it. Sometimes I will say that to my missus, but it's nothing like too like memorable where I'm just like, okay, don't ever use that to me again or anything like that.
Has there been anything assume you're in contact with family in the US at the moment. And is there anything
Yeah.
where you speak to them and they go, "Yep, you've been in the UK a while, man."
No, no, I think I'm still always gonna be a New Yorker at heart because I've spent the better part of I'm 37 now. So I've spent the better part of my life in New York City. So I think I still speak as a New Yorker. It's more of my daughter and my son who have kind of developed the accent from being
Oh
out
wow.
here. And yeah, my daughter, my like whenever my daughter shows up and I'm doing a podcast with Jimmy always will make fun of her and be like, "Hey, governor," and like do his awful UK accent, British accent, and because my daughter just naturally does it. Like I did a podcast with Top Guy JJ from True Hill Heat, and he heard her because she just recently lost her tooth, and she came into the room and was like, I lost my tooth," and she has the full on accent. I do an awful British accent, but she does it to perfection without even thinking about it. And my top guy JJ was just like, she's gonna come in here one day and say bruv, and we're all gonna pop for it. And it's just like, yeah, it's more of my kids get the accent and get the terminology a lot more than I do.
You teased it there. I've got to ask you. Can you do a British accent for us?
I can only do it like, "Hello, Governor." Like that's or bollocks or bruv. I just know the terms. I
Yeah.
can't really do the accent. I can't do like a full-on sentence. If you give me a sentence and you tell me to do a UK British accent, I'm gonna be awful at it. Me and Jeremy and Cher on our old show FMC on Fightful Overbooked, we used to play like mobile games for like Too Hot to Handle
Love is
and Love is
blind.
Blind. Yes. And we used to get the different characters that were like had British accents and stuff like that. I was really bad at it. I was really bad at it. So I'm not gonna embarrass myself
I
here
ain't doing an
and do it
American
again.
either, so you're good. So
It
you
was.
talked about there Jeremy and people like that. How did it? Because I don't think you were doing in the weeds last time we talked. If you were, I don't think you were you?
No, I wasn't.
So how did that situation come about and things like that?
Well, I think it was more from like doing a whole bunch of work with like your Wrestle Talks, whether it be when I was with the Daily Boys on Wrestling Daily, and Alex McCarthy knows everybody in wrestling media. So I
Oh
think
yeah,
that was when I started getting like attention from people throughout the wrestling media world and made me probably a place where a lot of people started seeing my work and seeing what I do with True Hill Heat as well. So it was really from doing Wrestling Daily that I got the attention of like people from Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp, and Jeremy specifically when Jeremy was doing his show The Distraction with
yeah,
Joe Hobart. I used to love their show because they were like a show that talked about not only just wrestling, but they also used to talk about basketball. And I'm a big basketball fan. That's my favorite sport in the world. I can talk basketball as much as I talk about wrestling. And one day, hopefully, I can talk about it on a podcast and get paid for that. That's like a goal of mine as well. And he invited me on The Distraction, and we had such a great time, me, him, and Joe, talking about NBA to the point that we barely talked about wrestling. So when Fightful decided to make Fightful Overbooked, Jeremy was coming up with different shows that he wanted to do, and he invited me on to do a show where we didn't talk anything about wrestling. We're on a wrestling channel and we didn't talk anything about wrestling. We would talk about mainly our main thing was like we wanted to talk about NBA and he wanted a specific show for that. So we were doing it on Friday morning, so he just called it FMC, Friday morning chat. Then we started switching days and like first morning chat and FMC can really mean whatever we wanted on whatever day that we did it. So we would talk mainly about the NBA, but then he started discovering that I watched a lot of stuff that he watched. So we started talking about some South Park on the show. And then he's got with his wife, he got married to his wife in 2022, and they started watching a lot of trash reality even when they were engaged and stuff like that. And me and my missus, that's like our main source of entertainment when we're watching television together. Like I watch my wrestling, I watch my sports on my own, but when we're together, we love to watch some trash reality. So we would talk about 90 Day Fiance that I used to watch, that I still watch to this day with my missus, or Love is Blind, Jersey Shore. We both are big fans of The Challenge on MTV, so we would talk about that as well. So we did FMC for about 2, 3 years, and then In the Weeds came about, I think, at the beginning of 2024, end of 2023. It was Joel and Jeremy doing it 3 times a week, kind of doing a morning wrestling podcast in a similar vein to like Busted Open, where they talk about the main news or whatever shows have happened during the week. And it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I think towards the end of 2024, Jeremy was like, "Hey, I want to do the show 5 days a week. I want to get on that kind of busted open kind of schedule of doing it every weekday, Monday through Friday." And Joel was like, "No, I'm fine with doing it 3 times a week. I'm fine with doing it Monday, Wednesday, Friday." And at that time, me and Jeremy were doing FMC on Tuesdays. And he was like, "Would you mind just doing In the Weeds with me instead? Where we're going to talk about our NBA and our basketball, because that's what we talk about anyway when we see each other, but we also can talk about what's going on in wrestling as well." So yeah, so I started filling in. I started in February, basically doing that 2 times a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays with Jeremy, usually instead of FMC, it was now In the Weeds. And In the Weeds has kind of been like my second biggest thing that I do outside of what I contribute to True Hill Heat. So that's kind of like the genesis of my working relationship with Jeremy. But Jeremy is one of my like really good friends in wrestling media, probably one of the best people that I've met in wrestling media. He does so much work when it comes to writing. He's one of the best writers in the game. Well, what he does with Fightful, he's their main writer, their main editor for their website, and why their website has grown into the biggest source of wrestling news around. And just I admire him more than I could say to him, because he doesn't like me complimenting him, but I could compliment him all day. But he's a really fun guy to just talk to, and we have a good chemistry with one another, where I could say outrageous things and make him laugh. He says outrageous things and ideas, and he makes me laugh. So doing that show is very fulfilling for me, especially in the wrestling media game, where a lot of the stuff you do sometimes is not as fulfilling as just shooting the crap with one of your good friends in the game. And I've actually gone out. He made me go to Ohio. And as an American, I want to tell you, Tom, Ohio is not a place I would ever try to go. But he made me go to Ohio to his wedding in 2022. I got to
remember his wedding, right? Because
yes,
this was like the biggest thing, because I think I was working with Cassidy at the time. I think I was.
yeah,
And like I remember
yes.
him, Cassidy being like, "Yeah, Jeremy's wedding was carnage. Yeah, yeah, this has happened. I bunked for so and so at Jeremy's wedding." I think he bunked for Steven Jensen, actually.
Yes,
It was
yes,
like,
and me. I was in the same. We all shared an Airbnb together. Me, Jensen, who's another great guy, and Cassidy Haynes, who's amazing. We shared the Airbnb and went to Jeremy's wedding, and I got to also hang out with Jeremy. Last year we were both in North Carolina for AEW Revolution, so I've had some great experience with
dude,
Jeremy. Like that was the kind of the sum of the story, is that I love Jeremy and I love doing In the Weeds with him.
Jeremy's the guy that I'm like, dude, I know you're busy, but open invite on the show whenever you can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be a great
I
chat.
had
Great
I
chat.
had him on like when we first started the show, so like 21, 22. And it's like
Wow.
so much has changed since then. We need an updated one, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's gone through a lot, and just grown and grown in the wrestling media game. He's doing so much now. 5 days a week on In the Weeds. He does all the writing, a lot of the writing for the Fightful website, and now he does the Spotlight with Steven Jensen as well. So yeah, he's incredibly busy. But when you get the chance to talk to him, you're gonna have a lot to talk about from the last conversation you did.
Oh, definitely, man. So talking about you, my friend, you talk about reality TV being sort of you and your good missus sort of guilty pleasure together, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Have you discovered any reality shows in the UK that you're like, yeah, we're gonna watch this when we get back as well?
Love Island. Love Island.
Really?
Love Island, especially this current season that's going on when we're filming this, has been very entertaining. It's been very much a guilty pleasure for us because we got into Love Island during, like, I think one of my first times here. And we still continued to watch it when we got back to the US as well. And then when we came back here, I think it was another season, and we weren't really liking that one, so we didn't watch the whole season. And now the most recent season, we've really been enjoying. So Love Island would be the main one. I also enjoy Britain's Got Talent.
Oh yeah.
Bring God when there's a great performer, I get emotional. My missus has caught me like tearing up out of some of these emotions. I'm like, you really sang that song? Like I get emotional watching Britain's Got
Oh, so
Talent.
do
That's a
I,
good
man. That's why I can't watch it.
one.
I
You
genuinely like
understand me. You
people will send me
understand me.
clips, and I'm like, no, you're all right, thanks. Like, there's a comedian called Jack Carroll who's in a wheelchair, the same as me. He's got
Yeah.
cerebral palsy. If I remember it, you might have seen it, but I will send you the clip because
Okay.
that was the first time. And I keep talking about myself. I do apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Time I was like, there are people out of me that are successful. I can do what I want in life. That was really
Yes.
cool. Anyway, we went off on a bit of a tangent there. Just quickly, you might have watched this one as an American, but Great British Bake Off. Have you watched that one?
I have not watched that. I've been told by so many people that that's their like favorite reality show out here, but I haven't got into it. I'm not into the cooking ones. Like if I'm gonna watch a cooking video, it's gonna be to try to figure out a way to make it myself. So
Hmm.
like any of the competition shows, I haven't really dived into quite yet. Not saying that I won't, because I there's been certain shows that have been on my list, and I was like, I don't know if I'll get to that, and I have got to it, and have enjoyed it. And I am a big fan of The Bear, which is a great show about cooking.
Hmm.
So maybe down the line I might.
That's really, really cool, man. How did moving or staying in the UK for an extended period change how you watch wrestling?
I'm tired a lot because because I'm so embedded in watching wrestling live, and it takes away some of my enjoyment not watching it live. So I've kind of had to schedule it off where, if I was in the US, I would pretty much watch everything live, whether it be Monday with Monday Night Raw, or Tuesday with NXT, AEW on Wednesday, ROH and TNA on Thursday, Friday SmackDown, and then Saturday Collision. I have to section it off where I only am watching live Raw, AEW Dynamite, and then everything else I'll figure out. If I'm still up, maybe I might catch a little bit of NXT, but I'm not watching the whole episode through because I gotta go to sleep, because now I'm working mornings with my Wrestle Talk gig. Fridays I try to get as much in of SmackDown before I go to sleep, so I don't have to watch the whole 3 hours, which 3 hours, Smack. Thankfully, by the time probably people are watching this video, SmackDown's
It
no
will
longer
have
three
gone
hours.
back down to
Yeah.
two. I will say that it will have got back down to two. You know how I backlog, man. So it will have got back
Exactly.
down to two.
Exactly. But I want these people to remember watching it, how much torture it is to watch 3 hours of SmackDown. It's torture. It's torture. Thankfully, when Tom airs this or posts this on his channel, it won't be 3 hours anymore. So I can go back to kind of watching maybe the first two segments, going to sleep, and then waking up Saturday morning before I do my flagship podcast, and then I can write about it and put it in the agenda for the show. So yeah, like really it's 2 days a week that I'm staying up and watching the full thing. So like yeah, I think that's the only difference between being out in the UK and being in the US, where now I have to be selective with what I stay up for.
I hate to say this, but when you go back to the UK, to the US, will it make you appreciate the times that wrestling are on and the fact that you don't have to stay up so late and the fact that pay-per-views are not so late either?
Well, absolutely. I'm going to appreciate that, especially for AEW pay-per-views. My
Oh,
Lord, that's the one that's really tough. It's really tough when you hear the birds chirping outside. Like I
oh
did the
yeah.
I was asked by Alex Pulowski, who's a great guy who does a lot of great content for Fightful, and he asked me because Kate wasn't available. He usually does the Sourgrass podcast with Kate, and they do it on the Fightful main channel on Tuesdays following NXT, and he does it for all the major pay-per-views. So I was asked by him to do the post show for AEW Dynasty. And I love doing podcasts with Alex Pulowski because I rarely ever do it, but when I do it, I have so much fun because he could sometimes be so negative about something, but also be so praising about it. And sometimes I will feel differently. And I like a dynamic where I don't know which end of the spectrum you're going to be on.
Mm.
Maybe that's because I do a podcast every week with Jimmy Macaram, who hates everything.
Oh,
But
oh yes. Shout
but
out to Jimmy. We love Jimmy on this show.
I love Jimmy. But yeah, I love doing podcasts with Alex Pulowski. So I said yes when he asked me to do the post show for AEW Dynasty. And AEW Dynasty in the UK did not end until like 5:15 a.m.
Mm.
And my kids regularly wake me up at like 8 a.m. So I'd been up from 8 a.m. to 5:15 a.m. watching Dynasty. And then I pull up the laptop, I go on this podcast, and we're like, yeah, it's probably going to be like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I was up until like 8 a.m. I went 24 hours awake because we were just chatting. The first go back on Fightful Select, the best $6 in the game if you want all your news coverage, but they do great podcasts like that. You can hear the birds chirping outside of my window so loudly because they were upset with the ending of AEW Dynasty as much as I was.
I've never
And
seen that show. So to peel the curtain back, man, I there was so much negativity around AEW towards the beginning of 2025 and the end of 2024 that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a step back from both the Twitter but also AEW because I'm like, you guys are taking away my enjoyment. Like, I can't enjoy it because you just crap on everything. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, it's gotten much better. It's gotten
Oh, it's
much
got
better.
much better.
Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. We needed we
So
needed
now I'm
it.
like, I'll happily watch again, but I have never watched that show, and I never will. But anyway, that
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
tangent.
it
Man.
was I enjoyed the show, but the ending I did not enjoy. So it was a lot for me to get through that podcast. But yeah, that like in a nutshell is like the microcosm of watching wrestling live, be it in the UK. I appreciate y'all who do it, who watch it live and do it 12 months out of the year and all year long, and whether it be an AEW pay-per-view, whether it be a WWE pay-per-view, the UK, especially UK, those representing the UK wrestling media, y'all deserve a badge of honor if y'all are watching it live. I know a lot of them don't watch it live; they'll watch it the following morning, and that's great as well. Me, I'm still American at heart, and I could stay up all night because I used to party in my 20s. But uh, I it takes a lot. It takes a lot. So I've learned to appreciate the UK wrestling fans so much more.
That's really, really cool. What about going to, you talk about appreciating the wrestling UK fans so much more there, man. What about appreciating like the wrestling UK independent scene? Have you managed to check out any shows where you've been here and things like that?
Yes, I went to my first Progress show in the UK because I've been to Progress when it was in the US, whether it be WrestleMania 34 weekend in New Orleans or whether it be in New York City in 2017, but I had never seen Progress in the UK. So I went to the Progress event over one of the bank holidays. It was like May 4th or something like that with the Super Strong Style 16. Shout outs to my good friend Mike Angus and the owner Lee of Progress who got me a ticket for that, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I love the energy of the Electric Ballroom. It's such a great place to see
I
pro
need to go
wrestling.
to the Progress show.
Yeah,
People keep telling me to
it's
go.
so good. So good. I suggest anyone go to a Progress show. I am tentatively planning on at the time of this recording going to the next Rev Pro show, which is this weekend in York Hall, because I went to a York Hall. I've went to a few York Hall events. My first time in the UK in 2019 with my missus. Before, I think when she was pregnant, we were in the UK for my first visit here, and I went to York Hall for British J Cup that had Pac in it and Michael Oku in a matchup as well. And then I've been to York Hall when MJF versus Michael Oku in 2024, and now I'm gonna go to York Hall for the Revolution Rumble event. Well, I'm planning on it. I don't know for sure.
Again,
It's gonna be
we'll
hot as
know
hell
by
on
the time this
Sunday.
airs.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? By the time it airs, I'll leave a comment and say, no, I didn't go. If I don't go, because it's gonna be hot as hell on Sunday. But I am planning on going there. It's because I do love to support the UK independence in any way, whether it's paying for a ticket, whether it's buying the merchandise, whether it's yelling and screaming for the performers, because the UK independent scene, I think, is the best independent scene out there. And I'm saying that as a person who's from the East Coast and from the New York City area, where we own the indie scene for like over like a decade in the 2000s and then a lot of the 2010s. But right now in 2025, the UK independent scene is the best indies in the game. So I will go to more Progress shows. I already told Mike and Lee I plan on going to a lot of Progress shows. I plan to go to a couple of Rev Pro shows and any other indies I can find. I want to try out Pro Wrestling Eve when they're back in July. I'm thinking about going to that because it's gonna have Chris Statlander on that show. So I always love to support the UK indies.
You talk about, just quickly before we start wrapping this up, because believe it or not, man, we've been talking about 40 minutes, and I do want to be respectful of your time. Uh,
Appreciate it.
Things like
Anytime.
that. You talk about the UK media scene, other than Wrestle Talk, because obviously you work with them and things like that. Who are some UK members of the wrestling media that you're like, they deserve their flowers?
The UK, I mean, you, of course. You deserve your flowers because you're great at what you do. I know you don't, you're very humble, but you're great at what you do.
I
So I want to
didn't
show you
I didn't
some
ask
love.
you to do that because of that, but I appreciate that.
No, I gotta give you some love. Luke Owen, like I said before, with Wrestle Talk. There is Andy Murray on Woke Culture. I think he
Mm.
does great work, and he's got a great Twitter account that always has very intellectual conversation and intellectual takes when it comes to pro wrestling. Michael Sidrick of Woke Culture is another one that I really enjoy what he puts out there, whether it be the What Culture podcast or anything like that. Simon Miller, who's one of the goats of the wrestling media game. I know Adam Blompier just came back with a new YouTube channel, and he's one of like the pioneers, one of the inspirations that started me in wrestling media. He's a transplant because he's really a Canadian, but he's out here in the UK. Tempest, formerly of Wrestle Talk. I know he's doing his own channel now. He's a great guy.
If
Sat
you
in the
haven't checked out
Yankee.
that video, by the way, guys, go check out that Charlotte video.
You should.
Props to
You
that
should.
man. What a good video.
Sat Iniangi, who's my good brother. He does great work with Wrestle Talk, and we love having him over at True Hill Heat. Alex McCarthy, one of the best writers in the game, and he's doing so much great work outside of wrestling media as well when it comes to Daily Mail. So there's so many people in the wrestling media game in the UK that deserve their flowers, deserve their praise, that are doing so great content. Everybody from Rest Things, whether it be Max, Analfi, Del Boy, any of that crew, they do such great work. That's another podcast that I've been able to go to their studio and chop it up with them and be a part of their podcast. Tea and Tussles, which is all female podcast from the UK. They do great content as well. So yeah, there's so many across the board that I would just I feel like I'm at the Grammys. I don't have a list of people to list here, but those are the ones that come to mind when it comes to the UK independent scene and just in content creation in general. NK, who was formerly of wrestling, because he's doing great work over on TikTok with the pop culture podcast. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
there's so many people that deserve love, deserve support. Cultaholic, the list goes on and on. It's great.
And little old me got a shout out there somehow, so I don't even know how, but I appreciate that, my good friend. So thank you very much.
Always.
Just quickly, before we do generic questions quickly, how do you define success, DC, SP3?
How do I define success? Success is, in my opinion, fulfillment meets monetary value. Fulfillment in that you feel fulfilled with what you're doing, you feel proud and happy with everything that you contribute to whatever field that you're contributing in, and a lot of the things that you contribute to or work in, you are making money for. It's not considered a job unless you're actually making money from it. And I think that if you can find that balance, I think that's the best thing. I think some of my like biggest fulfillments is like the biggest thing that I've been able to accomplish recently is being able to write on Sports Illustrated,
Mm.
which it just gives me so much fulfillment for an outlet that I grew up on. Like I remember when I was a kid, picking up a Sports Illustrated magazine, one of the dirty magazines with the bikinis, from my dad's under my dad's bed, and seeing that for the first time, and to imagine that 30 some odd years later, I am now writing on that website and getting referenced by Becky Lynch on Monday Night Raw when Becky Lynch says, I'm the greatest to ever do it. And it's not just me that says it's Sports Illustrated. And I get tagged by like 1,000
Oh,
people,
I
and
remember this.
they're saying, oh my God, Becky Lynch just mentioned SP3 because I wrote the list of the 10 greatest women's wrestlers of all time, and I put Becky Lynch number one. That is like I don't know what's gonna top that, but I don't think anything's gonna top Becky Lynch mentioning me on an episode of Monday Night Raw, mentioning my work in a promo on Monday Night Raw. I don't think it's ever gonna get bigger than that. I've had the opportunity to talk to people that I never imagined I'd be able to talk to, and just show my love and my passion for professional wrestling. That fulfillment is great, and to have the opportunity to make money off of something that I've loved since I was in a playpen watching pro wrestling at my grandmother's house when I was like 2, 3 years old, and seeing Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage and Andre the Giant on my grandmother's TV. And now 32, 33 years later, I'm writing for Sports Illustrated talking about pro wrestling. I'm on YouTube pretty much every day talking about pro wrestling and making any little bit of money that I can off of that. That's fulfillment. That's the monetary value. So for myself, I feel successful, and that's enough. I don't care about how anybody else defines it. The fact that I'm able to make money talking about something that I love and I'm passionate in, this is the best career that I've ever kind of put 2 feet first and dived right into the pool for.
I think that's a beautiful way to end this, if I'm honest, man. We've done this generic questions round a few times before, guys, but it wouldn't be a Tom Talk Rubbish episode if we didn't wrap it up with this. Those of you that have seen my interviews before, and that's where I'll ask SP3 his favourite match, favourite pay-per-view card, such as Double or Nothing 2019, his favourite wrestler's entrance team, favourite tag team, and favourite wrestler. Basically, the questions I assume you're asked on social media or in live streams, man. So now you have a place to be like, go watch this. I've answered this. So, what's your favorite match of all time?
Favorite match of all time? Okay. So can I give what my favorite match of all time, my main answer, and then I'll give, I don't know if you're gonna ask, but my favorite match I've seen live, because that's changed. I think
Yeah,
my favorite my favorite match of all time, I think the last time we did this is still the same. It's Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada 4 from NJPW Dominion 2018. And my favorite match I've seen live, that's actually changed because I went to All in London 2024 and Wembley Stadium, and I got third row tickets where I sat behind Brie Bella, Birdie Bella, and Buddy Bella. No, not Birdie Danielson and Buddy Danielson, and got to see Bryan Danielson win the AEW World Championship against Swerve Strickland. That I don't think anything's gonna beat that. I think the next time we do an interview, whether it be a year or 2 years from now, that's gonna be the same because that's the greatest live experience I've ever had in pro wrestling. So Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland at All In London 2024 is the greatest match I've ever seen live.
What happened there? Because I remember there being like, was there controversy because you were sitting behind them, or like, was there something that happened when you were sitting behind them? I can't remember.
Well, I got told that I was part of the Danielson family. That's the only thing that I remember. No, I mean, no really like controversy. I know I had a video that went viral of I was right behind the family when Brian is getting kicked by Swerve, and he's like, "I
Oh,
love you so much, I love you so much," and that went viral. So
right.
I think
I've
that's
used the
the only
wrong
thing.
word there. I do apologize, man.
No, it's
But
okay.
that's
It's
what it
okay.
was.
Yeah.
Right. So, what about your favorite overall pay-per-view card, man?
Favorite overall pay-per-view card? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think I'm gonna have to go with. Damn, that's a good question. Either Full Gear 2021, which was another one I went to live, that had Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega, MJF versus Darby Allin, CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston, Christian and Jurassic Express versus Adam Cole and Young Bucks, and a few other great matches on that card, or AEW Revolution 2024 that had Sting's final match, Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita, FTR versus Blackpool Combat Club, uh, Daniel Garcia versus Christian Cage. That had so many great matches as well. I now also probably throw in Wrestle Kingdom 10 that had AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada.
That's really, really cool, man. What about your favorite wrestler's entrance theme?
Favorite wrestling entrance theme?
Mm.
I mean, at the time we're recording this, it might be Mystico's Mexican theme that played on AEW Grand Slam Mexico, because that's one of the greatest entrances I ever seen. But for me personally, trying to think like what entrance theme have I sang? So I mean Stone Cold Steve Austin is an easy one. Uh Edge on this day. That's Medicine English. That's an easy one to go with. I think I will go final answer. Yeah, it's gotta be Bryan Danielson, final countdown.
I
Gotta be
thought
that.
so. After
Gotta be
being
that.
in the arena, I'm surprised you didn't say that. I'm not gonna lie.
Gotta be that. I tried to think of everything else besides that, but then it just went back to that. It's like
Why does that
final
one speak to you so much, man?
because I got to see him in Ring of Honor back in like 2006, 2007, 2008 until he left Ring of Honor in 2009. I got to go to pretty much all the Hammerstein Ballroom events for that 3 year, his final 3 years on the Independents in Ring of Honor. And I got to sing and belt it out with my friends by my side. Jimmy was by my side at that time when we were just coming out of high school and going to wrestling events all the time together, all my friends and all the New Yorkers in Hammerstein Ballroom just singing Final Countdown. Then I got to hear it again when I went to All Out 2023, and I almost cried when I heard it when because I didn't expect that he was going to come out to Final Countdown. So I remember having tears in my eyes as I'm singing Final Countdown, and then have that experience in Wembley Stadium again at All In, singing him down to the ring, seeing him hug his family, and then singing it, belting it out after he wins the AEW World Championship, no other entrance theme speaks to me or moves me or has that emotion. It has the memories that I have with that song more than Bryan Danielson coming out to Final Countdown.
That's really, really cool. What about your favorite tag team, my friend?
Favorite tag team of all time? It's gotta be Edge and Christian. I'm a huge Edge and Christian mark. I've been since I was a kid. I remember being in the back of class and doing the 5 second pose and stuff like that, and then getting to see them individually go out after their tag team ended, go out there and become these legends on their own in the singles competition. I've always been more of an Christian guy than an Edge guy, but I've always appreciated the fact that Edge reached heights that Christian wasn't able to. I felt like Christian was the more consistent of the two, but Edge and Christian, them together, that was my first time where I really loved a heel tag team. And that's why I have to give them the nod.
That's really, really cool. And then finally, SP3, I think I know who it's going to be because of this, how this conversation's gone. But who's your favorite overall wrestler?
It's Bryan Danielson. It's Bryan Danielson for sure. Like I said, I got to see him start from the bottom, reach the heights of his career at WrestleMania, then continue on having a great career after we all thought it was over when he comes back in 2018. And then the run in AEW has just been amazing to watch, where I got to see the same guy that I saw in Hammerstein Ballroom and with a couple of thousand other people reach a new heights in Wembley Stadium, winning the AEW World Championship and having a litany of instant classics to add to this resume. He's the greatest in-ring performer I've ever seen. He's the greatest technical wrestler I've ever seen, and he is my favorite wrestler that I've ever seen.
That's really, really cool. I always say Danielson's AEW run, because he's my favorite of all time as well, was like if Ring of Honor, Brian, and WWE, Brian Danielson, had a baby, sort of thing. You sort
Yes.
of combined
Yeah.
everything together in the best possible way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because being in WWE helped him become a better character and talker. So that run, yeah, you're absolutely right. Where we got to see the really physical in-ring excellence that he had in Ring of Honor mixed with all the character and talking ability that he really gained over his time in WWE, all in one form in AEW.
That's really, really cool, my friend. As we wrap this up, guys, obviously I want to say thank you to SP3 for a great conversation. But the question I end the show on, you guys know, I believe as content creators, we're all sort of going to live forever in a very, very weird way if you think about the world. So, what is one piece of content you're like, please remember me for that? And then what is one that you're like, nah, you can forget about that,
Um, I mean, I think I've said like, the generic one is everything I do with True Heel Heat. If I had to say one piece of content that I did, hmm, hmm, that's a good question. I think my our WrestleMania reviews are always like my favorites. And I think that just me on True Hill Heat, you're seeing a different me than what you would see on like Fightful or what you see on Wrestle Talk. Like Wrestle Talk, I'm doing a TLC or doing a survival series. You're seeing me kind of using my knowledge and my memories of pro wrestling. With Fightful, you're seeing me kind of in the second position where I'm able to bounce off of whoever I'm doing a podcast with. And I think on True Hill Heat, you're seeing me in the point guard position, if you know basketball terms, or quarterback position, where I'm able to kind of give the rock to everybody, give everybody their time. I'm able to kind of orchestrate everything in a different way. The flagship podcast is probably like my baby because so much time every week goes into that. If I said I had to give one in particular, the 300th episode of True Hill Heat, which was a real big milestone for us because it's something that we started off in like a bedroom with a
guys?
wobbly camera doing that podcast. So if I had to say one to not watch, don't watch that because the wobbly baby Seth, he did not know how to use an iPad, and he's all like this, and you might get vertigo watching that. So don't watch that, but watch the 300th episode of True Hill Heat, or watch the True Hill Heat episode that drops the week that you post this up. That's I always think that my last work is better than my last podcast. Whatever podcast I did yesterday, my podcast today is going to be better than that. So whatever True Hill Heat is up right now, that's my best work that I would love for you to watch. But don't watch the first episode of True Hill Heat. That's probably my worst.
That's really, really cool, my friend. As we wrap this up, guys, like I said, I want to say thank you again to SP3 for a great conversation. But please promote yourself, my good friend. Where can the good people find you, your work, etc., if they're not already following you, which I'm sure they already are.
All right, let me see if I can get everything out in one go, one take here. So my main work as far as video and podcasting is at True Heel Heat. That is TrueHeelHeat. Wrestling is the YouTube channel. We are also available on all your podcast outlets. I do 3 main shows a week on True Hill Heat. Tuesdays is our Monday Night Raw review, Rated Raw review with myself, Romeo, and Top Guy JJ. Thursdays is AE Ramble, where we review AEW Dynamite with me and Jimmy Macaram. Like I said before, you're seeing 2 guys that have known each other for 20 years talk about wrestling and everything else. And it's called AE Ramble because we talk about a lot of other things besides the show we're supposed to discuss. And then the flagship podcast every Saturday at either 11:05 a.m. Eastern time or 10:05 a.m. Eastern time, or since we're in the UK, I'll give UK times, either 3:05 p.m. Eastern, 3:05 UK or GMT, or 4:05 GMT. Every Saturday we are there to talk about everything in pro wrestling. That's WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA. We'll throw in some indies. We'll throw in some CMLL and AAA. So yeah, we cover the entire wrestling world on those Saturday podcasts. It's probably the longest form wrestling, one of the longest form wrestling podcasts out there, because we try to cover all the main
You
topics.
and Hotaholic are currently tied for the length of the episode.
I think it's Utz, Cultaholic, and Grapsody are the 3 longest forms, because those are the shows that talk about everything in the pro wrestling world. So yeah, check out the flagship podcast every Saturday, and that's up throughout the week, and that's available on all podcast forms. And then I also do pay-per-view reviews and previews over there for WWE, AEW, New Japan, TNA, and any of the major shows around. Stardom as well is another big one we've been trying to catch up on. So yeah, that's my main source of content. We also do Dark Side of the Ring reviews. We do so much on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, so check that out. There's True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment, which is our second channel that we're growing. It's growing slowly, but we're growing it, where we talk about TV, movies, and all sports. So check that out as well and subscribe over there. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers for that channel. And yeah, that's available on all podcast platforms for True Hill Heat. And then Fightful Overbooked every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. GMT. We are there, me and Jeremy, talking about all the biggest wrestling news for 2 hours on In the Weeds, the best morning show in pro wrestling out there. Yes, better than Busted Open. Sorry. And then you got my written work, where you can see me at WrestleTalk.com. I do mainly features for Wrestle Talk, so top 5 matches to be added to your latest pay-per-view, or top 5 whatever. Yeah, features over there. That's where I can do written work. And then I also do written work for Sports Illustrated at SI.com, the takedown on Sports Illustrated, where I do mainly their big list. Check out my 20 greatest WWE wrestlers of all time, 10 greatest women's wrestlers of all time. I did recently a 10 greatest lucha libre wrestlers of all time. I do a lot of written work for SI.com, so shout outs to everybody on that team. And those are the main things I do. If I forget anything else, I don't have time. I'm sorry, but that's the main things where everybody can follow me.
With how busy you are, man, I'm always appreciative that you make the time to come on the show. So if you guys like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It's Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter or X at Tom Talks Rubbish. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye now.
Thanks for watching this Tom Talks Rubbish conversation. Before you go, please make sure you leave a like on the video, share it around and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube, as well as follow Tom Talks Rubbish on Twitter/X.